this is Jessica.
And this is Jaymie.
And this is Hot for Justice.
I know, the regular edition.
Yeah, so
your Monday special.
We're gonna just get into it.
We're
that's
gonna
what we do.
Jump
We're
into
gonna
this
get into
bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Jamie's gonna jump into it.
Actually, before I jump into my case, this is Editing Jaymie popping in once again just to let you know that Jess and I did forget to record the serial killer portion of this week's show. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about that now. So last week, Jessica introduced Charles Ng, and today I'm going to be talking about his cohort, Leonard Lake. He was born in San Francisco in 1945, and his parents split up when he was about 6 years old, causing him and his siblings to move in with their maternal grandmother. During this time, Leonard took up a hobby, of photography. Seems fine until I tell you what it's about. Those photographs were of his nude sisters, and their grandmother encouraged this behavior. Super normal and healthy, totally. So it was at this time that it's deduced that his infatuation with pornography began, and he would extort his siblings into performing lewd acts to fulfill his little hobby. In 1964, he joined the Marine Corps, where he completed 2 tours in Vietnam as a radar operator, before being diagnosed with schizoid personality disorder and receiving a medical discharge in 1971. After his discharge, he attended San Jose State University for about a semester, and then he dropped out to move back to San Francisco. And at this time, he had decided he wanted to dive headfirst into the hippie lifestyle. He moved into a commune and married for a brief time in 1975, until his wife discovered his little porn secret. Apparently, he had been filming and starring in bondage and sadomasochistic videos, and she was a little bit less than pleased to discover this, to say the least. After this failed first marriage, he moved to Ukiah and eventually met and married his second wife, Clara Lynn Balazs, who would oblige his pornography fetishes and be featured in his films. She too, however, would eventually tire of his fantasies and being in his movies, so they would also eventually divorce. During this time, Lake also began to worry about a nuclear holocaust and built a type of bunker where he was staying, until his landlord made him take it down. Leonard was introduced to Ng 10 years after his discharge from the Marines through an ad that was placed in a Wargamer magazine, and the pair became fast friends. They had a lot in common, having both served in the Marines, and both of them possessed some very right-wing views, which we'll get into next week. Anyways, back to the regular show and to my case. This case came courtesy of my mother.
Ooh,
I know.
yes, queen.
I know. Jenny sent me a link, and I was like, okay, let's fucking do it. Well, yeah, like this case is solved.
Love that bitch.
Me too. This case is solved, which is like not normally something I would cover, because normally we like a unsolved case up in this bitch.
Yeah, we can mix it up. It's our podcast.
But there's a couple of reasons I chose it. One,
okay,
it has a twisty twist tie-in to a case that we've previously covered.
Ooh, okay, let's hear it.
And also, it's very close to home for me.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Michaela Garecht, I think the last name is pronounced Garecht.
Okay, I've heard, it's Garecht.
Yeah.
I've heard of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she was 9 years old when she was kidnapped in the middle of the day on November 9th, 1988 in Hayward, California. So Hayward's like 20 minutes away from me. So that's why I say it's close to home.
Close to home.
Yeah. So around 10 a.m. that morning, Michaela and a friend, Katrina Rodriguez, hopped on their scooters and headed to the local Rainbow Market to grab a snack and a soda. God, what a time to be alive.
I know, right?
That you could just scoot on down to the fucking corner store and get yourself a soda and call it a day.
Miss those days.
I know. But now there's weirdos outside. Not to say that there wasn't weirdos outside at this time, because that's what we're about to get
Obviously there were. We're just more aware of them now.
Right. So the girls park their scooters outside, go in, get their goods, and then start to walk home. It's on their way home that they remember that they scootered over, which I don't even know if scootered is a word, but I didn't get a little squiggly line under it, so like
yeah, it's a word.
Sure.
It's a word.
So they turn around to go collect their scooters.
Yeah.
When they get there, though, one of them isn't where they left them. But then Michaela spots it across the parking lot and goes off to get it. A few seconds later, Katrina hears her friend scream and sees her get scooped up by a man in a car. She books it back inside of the store to notify a clerk, who then calls 911. This is where the first hiccup happens. The clerk misidentifies who Katrina said drove off with Michaela, and therefore unwittingly gives a bad description to the dispatcher.
No.
Yeah. So this bad description is of a man in his 30s who had a hippie-like appearance, a mustache, and drove a burgundy car. This description is shared for 2 days before the error is realized. Katrina, who's the only actual witness, and again is a small child, describes the man as being in his 20s, having shoulder-length hair, blue eyes, and most notably, severe acne or pockmarks in his face. She also describes the vehicle that he was in to be a light-colored sedan, possibly off-white, tan, or gold. Search efforts began immediately in southern Alameda County with emphasis on wooded and unpopulated areas. The FBI was also involved in the searches, and plane and helicopter searches were conducted as well as ground searches. Over 5,000 tips were received by investigators within the first year of the disappearance, and with over 4,000 of them coming in before the end of December, so within like 2 months of the disappearance. On November 30th, 21 days after the kidnapping, Joe Montana of San Francisco 49ers fame made a public statement calling for the culprits to return her home safely. There were over 42,000 missing child posters distributed. Her face was on milk cartons, and there was even a $70,000 reward in place for information that would result in finding the little girl. And that's $70,000 in 80s money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Probably, if I had to guess, because I'm not going to Google it right now, because lazy, probably like $115,000 if I had to.
Did you say 1998 and $70,000?
88.
That's what I meant to say.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking in my brain. 70,000.
There was just a slight disconnect between your brain and your mouth.
Yes. Well, that happens a lot.
I mean, same.
Oh my God.
What?
$807,800.
From 70,000? Jesus.
In today's money. Dollars.
Wow,
that's inflation.
Way off.
Yeah, that's almost $1 million.
Fuck. Wish we found her. I'm just kidding.
God dang.
So there's
I'm poor.
bitch. Who you telling?
And Bob the supervisor doesn't understand why millennials complain all the time. Anyways.
So there's been a few very famous suspects in this case, a couple of them having been infamous for other California kidnappings. The first of which is Tim Bidninder? Bidninder. Whatever.
He doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No. She matters, he doesn't matter. Hit it.
Facts. Who kidnapped Amber Schwartz in Pinole just a few months before Michaela's abduction. The other was Philip Garrido, who had kidnapped and held J.C. Dugard for captive in... Jesus Christ, Jaymie.
That's terrible.
For 18 years in Antioch. The kidnapping also happened in broad daylight, and the proximity to Hayward made it feasible. However, no evidence was ever found. So...
Pause.
Yeah.
That was in Antioch?
Yeah, that's literally 15 minutes from my house.
I always thought that was in the Midwest for some reason.
Bitch, no! That was literally, like, a stone's throw, basically, from, like, where I used to live.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that fucking bonkers?
The more you know.
So,
anyways.
Do you remember when you covered the Speed Freak killers way back when?
Yes. Oh, I do. Because they're from my hometown.
Yeah. Well...
Ish. My home county.
Well, yeah. Well, one of them was also a suspect in this disappearance.
That's fair.
You remember that boy named Lauren?
Yes, that boy. A boy named Lauren. That was the episode title if you guys want to listen to it.
I know. I was really proud of myself for that joke that I wrote into this, because I don't normally write jokes into my things, but
yeah,
you know, I had to.
I liked it. Good job.
Thank you. I'll pat myself on the back. Oh, I'm recording this so I can actually, you can see me do it.
You can, because we're on YouTube's now.
Wow. So Mr. Lauren Herzog was implicated by his accomplice when he said that Herzog resembled the suspect of, quote, that guy that kidnapped that Hayward girl.
Listen. It
not impossible.
Who really knows? Yeah.
the witness, Michaela Rodriguez, commented, "I thought then, and I think now that he could be the kidnapper. I think that there are features that look very much like the man. It does seem like a strong lead. However, DNA evidence that was taken of Herzog and his accomplices as victims didn't come into a match of Michaela's, because if you do remember, where they were staying was ransacked, and they did find remains of a lot of young girls, but and belongings of young girls, none of which matched Michaela. But Michaela, when she disappeared, she was last seen wearing a pair of Mary Jane shoes, and there was a pair of Mary Janes in evidence that was collected from the place that they had been staying, but San Joaquin County sheriffs have actually never cooperated with the Hayward Police in getting DNA evidence of those shoes or additional information about the shoes in general.
I just don't get, like, what harm does that do?
Literally
to just
none.
help.
It's fucking horseshit.
I mean, like, maybe it takes a little time, but, like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But just a couple of months ago here, at the end of 2020, and probably one of the very few good things to come out of 2020, there's a suspect in custody.
Oh.
David Misch, who was already in prison on an unrelated murder conviction, was charged in relation to Michaela's kidnapping and possible murder on December 21st of last year. The investigation is still ongoing, however, but it looks like her family may be able to get justice soon. So, if anyone has...
So they found her remains. Did they find her remains?
Nope.
So they have no idea what happened to her.
Yeah, she's never turned up. Nobody knows what happened
terrible.
to her. So, if anyone has information that can either corroborate that David Misch is responsible, or where her remains are, or if someone has a better suspect, Hayward Police are looking.
Her poor friend.
Oh my god. Yeah, like...
Could you imagine the trauma that would stem from that, knowing that easily just could have been you if your scooter had been the one grabbed and, like, taken across the parking lot? Because obviously they did that on purpose.
Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, I remember, growing up in the 90s even, like, not even that long after this happened,
Yeah.
Like, our parents would be like, oh, like, if your shit's over there, like, don't go over, wander by yourself to go get it type of thing, like, whatever, like, because stuff like this was prevalent at the time.
It was different for us growing up because we grew up in such a small place.
True.
But, I mean, I guess I think about it, like a really, really small town, there wasn't really any convenience stores close by. So I wasn't, until I was much older, I was allowed to go by myself. But we were allowed to, like, go ride our bikes around the neighborhood or whatever, but always with another friend.
Yeah, like, I was growing up, I mean, like, I grew up in, more of, like, a suburb city situation. Not in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, no shade.
No shade, it's true. I mean, literally, when we grew up, there was one stoplight in our town. There's two now. There's one growing up. One stoplight.
I'm really glad that people can see my facial expressions now.
Actually, there's maybe two, but one's like a crosswalk stoplight, so that doesn't count. But
amazing.
It's a tiny town.
Like, I just remember, like, being, 9, 10, 11 years old, and me and my friends were able to, like, go walk places.
Yeah.
Or, like, usually if I was staying at a friend's house, because my parents were a little bit more, like, overprotective about stuff. And, like, usually my mom was always home because until I was in high school, she didn't have a job. Like, she was a stay-at-home mom. That was her job. I shouldn't say she didn't have a job because...
Yeah, that is a job.
Yeah.
It's
Let me make that very fucking clear. I'm not shitting on anyone that's a stay-at-home mom.
No, yeah.
I'm also not shitting on a trophy wife. If that's your thing, go for it.
Dude, Sadie.
I'm jealous.
Send me your secrets.
Right. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. But, like, I remember being, like, in middle school, and one of my friends who, like, her parents were divorced, and her mom worked a lot. Like, I would go to her house and hang out, and they lived in Martinez, and we would walk from her house to, like, Rite Aid to go get ice cream or whatever. TB fucking T. Do you remember when Rite Aids had ice cream? Or did you guys even have that where you grew up?
They still do. Our Rite Aid still has ice cream.
Died.
No, they have ice cream. We have one here where I live now, and they also still have the one that in where I grew up. They have it. They have ice cream. I mean, because of COVID, they don't do ice cream. They have, like, their own brand, and it's so superior to any other ice cream.
It's fucking bomb.
Anyways,
because there's one Rite Aid near me, and it's literally just, like, a pharmacy and drugstore.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have an ice cream in it anymore.
Sorry, but I'm tired, you guys. Anyways.
That's okay. But anyways, TBT to getting Rite Aid ice cream, because that shit's the tits.
It is still.
Well, next time it's, like, open near you, we'll have to get a scoop or two, because it's not
Down.
open near me. Oh, I mean, like,
Down.
they don't even have it as an option.
Yeah. Once COVID's over.
Yeah.
We'll go.
Ouch. The only reason I even went to the Rite Aid is because I got my first dose of the vaccine, bitch.
Yay!
Which, if you have the opportunity to get your COVID vaccination, fucking do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna... And you can, because there are, you know, for people with severe allergic reactions to things, you might want to talk to your doctor first.
Right. And I will say, personally, my only adverse reaction was, it just felt like someone hit me very fucking hard in the arm. But...
That's how the HPV shot feels.
See, I didn't have that much of an issue with it.
The third in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
But also, I literally did it when I was like 12. So
yeah, I was a little older. I think I was 17. Anyways,
I don't quite remember. I did it when it first came out, and I remember like, because I was going to private school at the time, it was like a big deal, and like all of the kids like judged me because they were like, "You're only supposed to get that if you're sexually active," and I was like, 12.
You're really not. You're supposed to get it.
That's what I
anyway.
said. That's what I said.
Because even if you can, it can, anyways, does, whatever. We're getting off topic.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we can sufficiently dick off now. Oh, wait, no, we can't. It's your turn.
No, I have to go still. Okay, we're going to pause our dicking off. We'll resume at the end.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that we were continuing to do that.
Okay.
I thought this was the last episode and that, I was done. I was like the second half.
Yeah, you were the finishing act.
Yeah, so I was
but
just
today it's me.
Keep talking for a week about nothing.
Okay, well, now I'm going to talk about something.
Okay.
The murder of Barbara Beach Hamburg, which is from
You totally
the show.
almost called her Hamburger.
No, I was going to, go in to say murder, so it almost, came out like hamburger murder, and it was by accident. Barbara Beach Hamburg, which is on the Murder on Middle Beach HBO documentary, her son made. Her son. He made it.
That's cool.
And they got picked up by HBO.
That's fucking bonkers.
So, there's a lot of stuff on this case.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a traditional case I would do. This got a lot of press, but I'm going to cover it anyway.
Do it.
So, on March 3rd, 2010, single mom... So, okay, also, pause. I'm the same age as her son. I'm, a little bit older. He was 17. I was 18 by this time, but we're about the same age.
Crazy.
Single mother Barbara Hamburg was found murdered outside of her home in upper middle class Madison, Connecticut. The scene was really brutal. In the documentary Murder on Middle Beach, her son Madison recaps his mother's day. She was found in her pajamas. She had gone to go get coffee, and the coffee was strewn across the front lawn, and her purse was as well. She had just returned from dropping off her daughter at school. They were a little late. They were already running late, and so they went and got coffee on the way, and then she was dropped off at school. The mom came home. Later in the day, her daughter Allie had been calling and texting her mom saying she wanted to be picked up and to come home from school, but her mom never responded, so she texted her Aunt Conway to come get her. So her Aunt Conway comes, picks her up. The two arrive at Barbara's home to immediately notice something was wrong. Barbara's purse was on the front lawn. Their dog statue was knocked over, and Allie was like, it was always right here, always like this, and it was knocked over. So she knew something was wrong. They go through the entire house. Barbara wasn't inside. There wasn't really any mess inside. And then they walk around the outside. They see a pallet leaned up against the side of the house, and then a bunch of outside chair cushions were stacked up alongside the house. Barbara's sister Conway started to lift up the pillows, and she said, well, I just saw fur and blood, and so she thought it was an animal that was dead. She remembers feeling thank God it's just an animal, but it wasn't. It was actually Barbara.
Fuck.
She was brutally beaten. The autopsy revealed her cause of death was blunt force trauma and sharp force injury, and they believe that the weapon used was a hammer. So Madison goes through all of this. He talks to all of his family members and, like, even his sister. It's really caused, like, a huge rift within their family because his Aunt Conway, for a really long time, thought that the sister did it, that Allie did it, because Allie was having issues and she was kind of back and forth between her parents. They were divorced. And then there's a couple other, like, really, it's viable motives, and Madison goes all through it. So it's a really great documentary if you're interested in learning more. And it's different. He just does it differently because he's interviewing his family members and his dad, and his dad is not cooperative. And his dad even asks, like, are you recording this? Because he won't talk if he's being recorded. His dad's sus.
What a dick nose.
Yeah, it's just really crazy, and I give Madison, like, huge props. He did a really great job. I can't even imagine, like, doing something like that if that were my mom. So the day of her death, she was actually scheduled to be in court at 9:30. However, she had talked to a few people the day before saying that she had court at 2. So this was weird. Okay, the court case was a big thing. It was against her ex-husband, Jeffrey Hamburg, who owed her hundreds of thousands of dollars in alimony and back child support.
So you think she would know and she's supposed to fucking be there.
Right. So that's why at the end, Madison's like, well, I'm kind of thinking maybe somebody had called her pretending to be a court clerk and saying, hey, your court date was moved to later on. And that's why she thought it was at 2 instead of 9:30. And so that way somebody would have known where she was going to be.
Are you telling me this was a setup?
I think so. But I don't know. So there's no hard evidence, but that's weird. And like two people remember that. 2 people remember her saying that. Not just one person. 2 people said. No, she said she had court at 2.
Yeah.
Which is why she was still in her pajamas.
That really rubs me the wrong fucking way.
Yeah. So Jeffrey, and Madison realizes this as they're recording. There's no way to make him look good in this documentary. He's her ex-husband. He owed her money. He's sus, but, like, his lack of cooperation and just, like, he has nothing to say that's nice about Barbara. And you would think that, like, if your child's other parent was murdered, even if you didn't like them, you weren't in love with them anymore, you just didn't care, you would care about your child.
Right. Like,
he does not. He's weird. So, he's obviously a person of interest. They had a very contentious divorce. The couple were super wealthy. Jeffrey had been a CEO of an electric company, so they grew up super wealthy, but he was fired for some shady dealings. And then there was a court case after that. He sued them for, like, slander and won. I'm not really sure exactly, like, what parts were not true, but Barbara had previously told the police that she had evidence Jeffrey was involved in an international money laundering scheme and had acquired at least $100 million from it. And there's, like, paperwork that Madison finds that's really sus, and he's, like, trying to ask his dad, and his dad's like, well, I don't know anything about that. And Madison's like, well, your signature's on it. Your name's all over these. And he's like, well, I don't know. And it's not even like, well, I would like to look at it. It's like, I don't know anything about that. So it's weird.
This reminds me, not to, like, completely jump off topic, but this high-key reminds me. What a boofy boy.
Sorry. I know, he's boofing.
It reminds me of our boy, Mr. Durst.
Yes.
Our
it's weird.
boy, who is sus as fuck.
They have no chill. So
not even a little bit of chill.
Jackson, we're not gonna bark right now. Mommy's recording her podcast. Oh, my neighbor has a dog, and they're come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Come on.
Oh my goodness.
We're not gonna bark at the puppy. No, shh.
Shh. Guest star.
Nope.
As you were.
Okay, so he took nearly 100.
I want to see his face.
I don't want him to boof. He's boofing.
But the people want to see him, I'm sure.
I know. This is Jax. He just had his 7th birthday last week. Don't bark. He's very cute. He's adopted from Spain.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You found him in a dumpster, no?
The rescue organization, yes, found him in a dumpster. And then he lived with a foster family, and then we adopted him. And they drove him from Spain to Germany to pick him up.
Goodness.
Okay, So he took almost $100,000 from his children's trust fund accounts from 2008 to 2010.
What a piece of shit.
Yep. So, okay. So,
like, hold
another
on.
thing, though.
Time out. I know. I digressed you already.
Listen,
but, like, who takes money from their kid?
He just doesn't give two shits, man. You just have to watch it.
I will. I'll watch it.
He's
I'm going to watch it today.
Oh. He's sniffing the microphone.
He's like,
okay.
like this.
It's good. Watch it.
Okay.
I watched it in like 2 days. Okay. However, Barbara was also involved in a Ponzi scheme, which is also known as a pyramid scheme. And this was so interesting because you normally hear these like relating to like MLMs. A lot of times people use these interchangeably, but they're not. So a Ponzi scheme, and actually, you know what? You probably saw an example of this on Instagram a couple months ago because people were like, remember that diagram was like circles and like at the end of the circle you get $40,000, but you had to like, whatever.
I didn't see this.
Okay, well, a bunch of people were sharing that on my thing, and I was like, okay. Anyway, that's an example of a Ponzi scheme. So these Ponzi schemes were called gifting tables. Members would join the gifting table with a $5,000 gift. $5,000. And they move up in ranks when they recruit more women. So you buy in, you recruit 2 women, you move up to a different table.
And then the highest level, $10,000.
Yep. And so the highest level is called the dessert table. And when you're at the dessert table, you get $40,000.
Of course.
And then you start over. So Barbara was a huge recruiter for her area. She was one of the tops. And actually Madison's like great aunt or aunt, it's like by marriage, and like his other aunt, there were people who did time for this. They were prosecuted. Actually, part of it because of Barbara's murder, they seized her computer and they found evidence of internal evidence of this. So, Barbara was recruiting women from her AA group, which was terrible.
That. That's predatory and shitty.
It is. And so people are like, well, maybe that's why she was murdered, because, maybe she had a large amount of cash and somebody knew that, or maybe they wouldn't let somebody in and they knew that, because the whole point of the table is to make sure you get people in who can pay.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe she did someone dirty.
It's
whether
possible.
Wittingly or not.
Right. And so that's kind of weird. So the police do say they have DNA. All of it's accounted for. But then the detective, so Madison goes and talks to the police. He records the whole thing in his pants. He's like so sneaky. So the cop is quoted saying that the DNA kits were crap. They were all expired. Yeah. And so he also says that one of their suspects, like, it seems like they really have a very narrow pool, but the case is sitting. It's been sitting for 10 years.
But nothing's happened.
One of their suspects turned their phone off for an entire 24 hours the day of the murder.
Not weird at all.
No.
And what year did this take place again?
2010. So this is not like, this is like the beginning of iPhones and whatever, but like still
at that point, so 2010, you and I are in high school at this point. Yeah. Most adults at that point would have probably had some sort of like BlackBerry or smartphone, because that's just how things were at the time. A
smartphone-ish. Right. But I think they can still track you, because even without a smartphone, they can ping your cell phone, and it's getting better. The technology is better by 2010. Right.
But like in 2010, if they can figure out that someone turned off their goddamn phone for a whole ass day, like,
that's weird. That's sus.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they know that Allie, the daughter, her phone was not off because she was sending text messages. It really ruled her out. It's just a lot. It's a lot. It's really an interesting documentary. He does so good. At the end of the show, he actually petitions for like a Freedom of Information Request Act for all of the case files, because the police are like shutting him out. He's like calling in, whatever. They're like refusing to cooperate, but they want all of the information he has. He's gleaned all of the interviews from his, from this documentary.
Really quickly, I'm going to address that what just happened. My phone just went off. I apologize. I had to start setting alarms to remind myself to eat throughout the day.
Smart.
Well, because I don't. Especially
know.
at work. Like, I'll just get in a fucking zone, like, bloop, 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 doing shit, and then, 4 hours have gone by and I haven't eaten a fucking calorie.
I'm the same way.
So
we're gonna, after this episode, we're gonna take a snack break, but and I'm almost done. Madison they have to like do a hearing about all of the stuff. The police don't want to release any of the documents, but at the end of the documentary, he actually finds out he wins the freedom of information request, and they have to send over everything they have on his mom's murder, thousands of documents. So he's like, we're going to go through this, we're going to cooperate with the police, like with what information we have, and so hopefully there will be an update. It kind of made it seem like there would be, but
my body's
it's
ready.
just, I actually cried at the end. Like he has home videos of his mom interacting with him and his sister, and you can just see how much she loves them. And it hit me really hard. So that's the murder of Barbara Beach Hamburg, an open case. If you have information about it, of course, contact the local authorities, please. Or if you don't want to contact them, contact her son Madison, because he's following up on things.
And he's better than any cop in that entire ass town.
Yeah, well, he has a personal connection and a motivation to see it done correctly and not just done.
Right.
So, now we've reached our dicking off section, which I have to say, I'm gonna be starting Bridgerton after I finish Trial 4, and then I'm gonna watch the what's the new one they have out? Ripper? The Ripper?
No, the Night Stalker.
The new Ripper?
Nightcrawler.
The Night Stalker. Thank you.
Nightcrawler, yeah. I think, actually.
Whatever his name is.
It doesn't matter. Either way, it's about Richard Ramirez. Apparently, it's fucking wild.
I've heard that, and so that's next on my
to watch list. Yeah, yes. Zach and I are going to start it because he's actually really excited about it too.
Yeah.
And it smells like a recap. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's me for dicking off.
So my dicking off. I have a couple of things that I watched in my last little bit of fun employed life.
Mm-hmm.
I watched A Flight Attendant on Hulu or HBO.
Oh, it's so good.
The one with Kaylee Cuoco.
It's so good. Yes.
Bitch.
Okay. I forgot about that. I told you to watch it.
Yes,
it
you
was
did.
So good. The end, I was like, oh my god.
I think it did get green lighted for a second season. I think.
Oh, good.
I think. I'm gonna Google that real quick so that I don't talk out my asshole. I'm also gonna
say greenlit, sweetie, not green lighted. Listen, if you haven't watched it, watch it. So it's like advertised as kind of a more serious show, but it's really funny. Actually, it's not really funny, but there's like elements of humor in there, and like it's like silly, but it's also really intriguing and really good. I recommend it.
It officially was approved for a second season.
Oh, good. Oh, that makes me happy.
We'll be getting another one.
Cool. Yeah, it was a good show.
Very good. I don't want to spoil it, but it's definitely worth a watch.
Watch it.
And then one more thing that I watched on Hulu, because I wrote next to it where I watched it, so I'd be able to tell people. Booksmart, which is a movie on Hulu. I don't know if it was a Hulu original or if it just got released to it. It has the girl from Unbelievable on Netflix on it.
Yeah, I've seen commercials for it.
Yeah, I think was it Caitlin Dever? Is that her name?
I don't know.
Something like that. I fucking love her. She's amazing. I think she's going to continue to do great things, actor-wise. And then I don't know who the other main girl is. It was really cute, heartwarming, coming of age.
I'm pretty sure Olivia Wilde directed that.
She did.
Yeah.
It was, like I said, it was really cute. I quite enjoyed it. It's pretty lighthearted. It's, about a couple of 18-year-olds that are about to graduate high school type of thing. So if that's not your judge, don't watch it. But
yeah,
if you want a giggle and something heartwarming, give it a go.
Send it.
It's pretty short, and it made my heart happy.
I wrote it down, and I'll include it in the show notes.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And now I have to go eat a snack.
Me
and
too.
I have to sneeze. I've had to sneeze this whole episode. It's just sitting there, you guys.
Oh, no. Well, okay, let's sign off so that you can sneeze and get that, like 1/18 of an orgasm or whatever it is.
Is that really real?
Yeah, a sneeze. 1/18 is probably a fake figure, but, like, a sneeze is, like, legitimately the same satisfaction as, like, 1% of an orgasm.
Huh.
I'll find out what that figure is, and I'll I'll include
Send it
it
to me
at some point.
Okay.
But anywho's,
Thanks for listening.
Enjoy your face orgasm, and you have something else?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, bye.
Bye.